Well, hello, dear friends. I am Zishan Hashmi, and today I am here to get exposed because the series that we are doing is called Expose the Mentor. And today I have with me two of my students, Poonam and Arunav. Now, these two students have been linked to me via various clubs, especially the CSAT club, and we have been interacting on a daily basis for quite some time now. And today we are going to discuss the 2019 CSAT paper. And when it comes to passages, these students of mine will explain it to me. I'll be acting as a student of theirs. They will explain how passage questions can be solved, how comprehension can be solved, even without reading the passage, and even in maths related questions, how many questions can be solved in just a matter of seconds with no or minimum calculations. So let's start this interesting exercise where I am acting as a student and these students of mine will be acting as my mentors. All right, starting with you, Arunav. Now we have this question number 4 from 2019 paper before us. And the question goes as on the basis of the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. There are three statements given and subsequently four options are given. So I'm wondering whether this can be solved without even reading the comprehension, thus ultimately saving time and enhancing accuracy. Can we do this, Arunav?
Yes, we can definitely do this without reading the passage. And when we look at the statements, the first one says that large scale soil erosion is a major reason for widespread food insecurity in the world. Okay, fine. So we'll keep that. It might happen, it might not happen, but then it could be wrong. So let's move to the second one. Soil erosion is mainly anthropogenic. Okay, so this statement is, as per Uncle Jolly Straits, is very superfluous. And then also, if we think about it, soil erosion is happening because of many other reasons. So mainly anthropogenic is, we are kind of going overboard when we go for this
Right.
statement. So if we try eliminating the second statement, so we only have just one option, that is B, and that is the third statement. So just to be sure, we can read the third statement, which says sustainable management of soils helps in combating climate change. So if we think about this statement, that's a very normal statement. It's not very ambitious. It's not kind of negative also. So as per Uncle Jolly Straits, that always the middle path is taken by Uncle Jolly. So we can go with this option, option B.
Okay, so here I have observed one or two things in your line of argument, Arunav. Uh,
Mhm.
First thing that you have mentioned that statement 2 should be eliminated because there is overemphasis on a particular thing. Soil erosion
Right.
is mainly anthropogenic. So the facet, the anthropogenic facet is being overemphasized. That's what you're saying. And this
Right.
doesn't go well with the personality of our fictitious
Uncle Jolly.
paper setter, Uncle Jolly. That's what you're
Right.
saying.
Yes.
Number two, after eliminating statement two, we are only left with option B, that is statement three. That's what you're saying. Are
Yes.
you saying that UPSC has, in a way, given us a hint here that a
Yes.
statement has
Yes.
been provided, which is sort of a superfluous or an overemphasizing statement, and we get a direct answer?
Yes. Definitely. UPSC wants us to eliminate the second statement so that we can arrive easily at the right answer.
All right,
So
Arunav.
we
Now,
just have to, yeah.
this line of argument of yours is really interesting. But the people out there watching this video must be intrigued at what is being discussed because at first look it feels something out of the mind. So,
True.
Poonam, coming to you, would you add something to what already Arunav has said?
Yes, sir, definitely we can solve this question without even looking at the passage. Because as per Uncle Jolly's statement, I had ruled out the first statement as it is quite generalized statement. Second statement, again, it is focusing on the soil erosion is mainly anthropogenic. Again, that is stressing on one particular topic. Then filling out both the statements, I get only the third statement, which is a very justifying, and it is like quite feasible. It looks quite feasible. So
Okay.
I'll go with option B, without even looking at the passage.
All right, Poonam. Just as Arunav said, you are saying that statement 3 is more feasible, more of a golden mean kind of a statement. And regarding statement 1, you said that it's a generalized statement. So is it the case that we avoid generalized statements, Poonam?
Yes, as per Uncle Jolly's statement, Uncle Jolly doesn't like generalized and stereotyping. Generalization and stereotyping. That's why.
Okay, Uncle Jolly seems to be a really interesting person, Poonam.
He's
All right,
very reasonable man.
reasonable man. All right. Okay, so this question appears lot easier now after having discussed this. Okay, moving to the next question. All right, this time starting with you, Poonam. Question number 5 from the same CSAT paper of 2019. The question goes as, on the basis of the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. Now, there are 3 statements. Economic power is the only reason for the existence of inequality in a society. Statement 2, inequality of different kinds, income, wealth, etc. reinforces power. Statement 3, economic power can be analyzed more through its effects than by direct empirical methods. Again, we haven't read the passage. Poonam, can we solve this question this way?
Yes, sir. It seems very easy after knowing Uncle Jolly's trait. Like first statement, as I've stated earlier, it is quite generalized. Like it is saying economic power is the only reason for the
Okay.
existence. Like it is more stressing on the word only. Like so, I can definitely I can rule it out.
All right.
Second statement, inequality of different kinds, income, wealth, etc., reinforces power. This again it is generalized statement.
All right.
Third statement, economic power can be analyzed more through the effects than the direct empirical methods. It is the third statement is a reasonable statement which can go well with the with the passage. So I'll go with third statement.
Okay.
Like B option, third only.
All right, Poonam. So first and foremost, you said that statement 1 has a red flag because it makes the statement restrictive. Economic power is the only reason for doing X, Y, Z. And that doesn't go with the personality or traits of our fictitious paper setter, Uncle Jolly. That's what you're saying, Poonam, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, sir.
All right. So going by your logic, Poonam, if I eliminate statement 1, I'm left only with the answer. That is option B, statement 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here
Because
again,
Uncle Jolly is a man who doesn't like putting restrictions. And statement 1 doesn't go with the trait of Uncle Jolly.
All right. Even as far as I have known you, you also don't like restrictions. When it comes to restrictions, we have been interacting in our club for some time now. Okay.
Yeah, you know me so well.
Yeah. Okay. Coming to you, Arunav, what would you add?
Here again, it's a very conditional statement. You know, there's a condition put in this statement. So obviously, our fictitious paper setter would not go for this statement. So the moment we eliminate this one, we are left with just one statement. And then without reading the second one, I directly move to the third one to see if it is okay, you know, if that can be an answer. So the moment I read economic power can be analyzed more through its effects than by direct empirical methods. So the moment I see can, I try relating with the knowledge that I already have. And then it sounds fine, you know, it's something that's possible. So I am only left with B, and that is the answer.
All right. Again, it's a very interesting point of view. What you're saying, Arunav, is in statement 3, you are using your pre-existing knowledge that is outside the passage, your own pre-existing knowledge, and you are validating statement 3 by that virtue. Am I correct, Arunav?
Yes, but then I'm doing that only because I am left with just one statement and I have already eliminated all the other options. So had I not been able to eliminate, I would refrain from doing this because I might go wrong.
All right. So again, this question resonates a lot with the earlier question that we did. Like we eliminated statement 1 and we are left only with statement 3, that is option B. And then we read option B to just validate and verify whether it can be correct or not through our conventional means that we follow. All right. Fine, guys. Again, this question number 5 appears much easier now compared to earlier. Let's quickly move to the next question. All right, guys. Now let's do a maths-based question. And when it comes to maths-related questions, arithmetics and all, many students get frightened just by the name of it. And let's see if this question can be done in less time with better accuracy. Just reading the question, Raju has rupees 9,000 with him and he wants to buy a mobile handset, but he finds that he has only 75% of the amount required to buy the handset. Therefore, he borrows 2,000 from a friend. Then, now there are 4 options given to us. Can this be solved just by mental calculations or minimum calculations and ensuring better accuracy and ultimately saving time? Starting with you, Arunav.
Yes, this can be done with mental calculation because when we look at the question, it says Raju has 9,000 rupees. And then we are given the information that it is 75% of the amount which he requires to buy the handset. So the moment we see 75%, the first thing that should strike us is 3 by 4. It is 3 by 4. And when we have 3, we have 9,000. That means that 25% is 3,000 rupees. And then we already, so when we have found out 25% is 3,000 rupees, so we know that 100% is 12,000 rupees. So now we are ready, so we know the full amount that he requires, that is 12,000, right? And then we have the information that 2,000 rupees was borrowed by Raju. So when he borrows 2,000 rupees, he already had 9,000 rupees, it is 11,000 rupees. So he is still short of 12,000 rupees by 1,000 rupees. So the first option says Raju still does not have enough amount to buy the handset. So that is the answer. You know, we do not even have to look at the other options.
All right. What the gist of what you said, as I understand it, you are basically using the table of 3. Like 3 ones are 3,
Right.
3 twos are 6, 3 threes are 9, and 3 fours are 12. If 75% is 9, then 100% is 12. And that way you are finding the answer just by using the table of 3, as I understand it, Arunav. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. Yes.
All right. Poonam seems to have something interesting to add over here. Yes, Poonam.
Yes, sir, definitely. I use the table of 3 here. And just by using the table of 3 here, I took hardly 20 to 30 seconds to solve this question.
All right. Now, again, this seems very interesting because here we are talking about percentages, 75%, 9,000 rupees is already present, 2,000 is being borrowed. But it looks very unconventional that we are just using the table of 3 and just deriving the answer in matter of 30 seconds or less.
And without using pen.
Without using the pen. All right, guys. All right. So this is again a very interesting question. Question number 17 from 2019 paper. Let's move ahead. Yeah. Now let's do a passage question starting with your Poonam.
Yes, sir.
The question given over here is, which of the following is the most logical, rational, and crucial message conveyed by the above passage? Above passage, अब हमने above वाला passage पढ़ा ही नहीं है, Poonam. Now,
Yes, sir.
I hope you can help me out without reading the above passage. Can we solve this particular question, Poonam?
Yes, sir. Statement 1 says TB is not a curable disease in Indian circumstances. So, as our Uncle Jolly is a very positive kind of a man, he doesn't like negative statements.
All right.
So, like straightforward, we can rule out the first statement. Like, second is curing TB requires more than diagnosis and medical treatment. This Seems to be quite reasonable, but let's go with statement 3. Government surveillance mechanisms is deficient and poor people have no cure to treatment. Again, it's a negative statement. And since Uncle Jolly is a very optimistic kind of a man, he's not pessimist. So he doesn't like pessimistic statements. So we can rule out the third statement as well.
Right.
Then India will be free from disease like TB only when it's poverty alleviation. Again, there's a restriction. As we have seen in other two passages we have done earlier. So again, we are restricting the statement only when poverty alleviation programs are effectively. So straightforward, like which option is left with us? Option B.
All right. After seeing this question, I feel that really Uncle Jolly is a pseudonym for you yourself, Poonam, because the way you have explained it, Uncle Jolly is not restrictive. Uncle Jolly is not pessimistic and all. It almost sounds like you're talking about yourself, the way you have been throughout the club. All right.
Like you're my student right now. Otherwise, I could have said like you are a great mentor.
All right. Okay. Coming to you, Arunav, what would you add?
What Poonam said is absolutely right, because the first one, as we know, that TB is a curable disease in India. So
All right.
obviously that we can eliminate outrightly. And then when we look at the third statement, government surveillance mechanism is deficient and poor people have no access to treatment. So that again, as she said, as Poonam said, that this is a very pessimistic statement and Uncle Jolly is quite optimistic. And then we can also confirm this by the fact that the government of India provides DBT, for nutritional needs for TB patients. So again,
Alright.
that gets eliminated.
Mhm.
And then obviously the fourth one again is a very conditional statement. It puts conditions on, Uncle Jolly does not like conditions. So that again is eliminated. So we are left with just one option. And when we read the option, it feels very logical. It's very reasonable. And that has to be the answer.
All right. So both Poonam and Arunav, you both have given a very similar line of argument at option A, which says TB is not curable, which is against conventional knowledge. TB is curable. So, and as you have mentioned, Uncle Jolly is a well-aware person. He would not agree with option A. All right. You eliminated option A. Then you came to option C directly. Government surveillance mechanism is deficient. And as you said, our fictitious paper setter, Uncle Jolly, or Poonam for that matter, doesn't like pointing fingers. So option C is incorrect. Option D,
Yes.
India will be free from diseases like TB only when so and so thing happens. So again, option D is restrictive in nature. That's what you're saying. And you're
Yes.
choosing option B because it's a reasonable statement that curing TB requires more than diagnosis and medical treatment, which means curing TB is a broad-based process. Essentially, that's the
Yes.
crux of option B. Have I understood both of you mentors correctly?
Yes. You have.
Yes, you're trying to understand Uncle Jolly. Good going.
Glad I have good mentors like you. All right. Now,
Uncle
again,
Jolly is a savior here, actually.
all right. Now, again, question number 28 makes more sense. Now, let's quickly move ahead. Now, let's do a maths question. All right. Now, we'll be starting with you, Arunav. The question here says, the average marks of 100 students are given to be 40. It was found later that marks of one student were 53, which were misread as 83. The corrected mean marks are. Now, there are 4 options. Arunav, can we solve this question mentally or with minimum calculations, with more accuracy and
Yes.
ultimately save time? Arunav.
Yes. Definitely we can do that. Because the moment we look at the question, it says 100 students and the average marks is 40. Okay. So we know that now. Later on, we find out that there's one student whose marks was read incorrectly. 30 marks difference was there. So it's 53. So it was written as 83. So the moment we look at this, we understand the fact that 40 cannot be the average. Since the marks of one student has been decreased, So therefore, the average has also to decrease, right?
All right.
So average has to decrease. So when we look at the options, we have C as 40, D as 40.3. So we can right away eliminate these two options. 40 and 40.3 cannot be the answer because it has to be less than 40. The answer has to be less than 40.
Okay.
So now we're left with two options, 39 and 39.7. So now if you think about this, there are 100 students and the marks of 99 students are correct. There's just one student whose marks has been entered wrongly, and that is 30 marks only. So now when we think about that, just one student, only 30 marks. So the difference in average is going to be very less.
All
So
right.
the moment we fit that in our mind and then look into the options 39 and 39.7, then the answer obviously has to be 39.7. It cannot be 39.
Okay, I don't know. First and foremost, I liked the way you beautifully eliminated option C and option D straight away. Because as per your argument, if the marks of a student are being decreased, and originally the average is 40, the subsequent average has to be less than 40. It can't be 40 or more than 40. So option C and D you have eliminated straight away. That's really, really amazing. Then among option A and B, you have given a beautiful line of argument again. But don't you think there is an element of risk here? We are choosing option B without doing any calculations.
Yes, it is risky. But then again, to confirm this, it does not take much time to calculate this, because there are 100 students. So the average originally was 40. So we have 4,000 minus the difference in marks is 30. So it gives us 3,970, which again divided by 100 students is 39.7.
All
So
right, all
once
right.
we have decided on an option, like on option B, so we can do this calculation just to be sure, because the options are very close here. But then that is for someone who would think of not taking the risk. But for me, I would go for B without even calculating this.
That's good risk-taking appetite, Arnav. And I think that is what is required if one intends to clear prelims with good margin. Fine. Coming to Uncle Jolly now. I mean, coming to Poonam now. Poonam, what would you add?
Nothing, sir. As I am from biology background, maths used to be a very, like, not my type. Like, it's not my cup of tea type. But after attending the sessions, like this time, I would say I found it very, very easy. When I just like Arun said, the average was 40, and when the difference was 30 marks, definitely I just ruled out like answer won't be 40 or 40.3. Answer would be like from A or from B. Then the difference is of only 30 marks. Then it won't like make the difference of 1. The difference would be very marginal.
All
So
right.
I I'll opt for like option B, 39.7.
Okay. So what you're saying, Poonam, if there
Now
are 100,
even I'm becoming pro in these math sums.
all right, you already appear pro, no doubt about that. So what you said, Poonam, if there are 100 students, and if the average of 40 students, 100 students is 40, then just by deducting 30 marks, average won't go down by 1. That it won't become 39. That's what you said. So assuming that we are left with much less time at the end of our 2-hour session, examination session, we can take that risk and mark option B. And if we have time left, as Arunav did, we can verify the answer. That is option B, 39.7. All right, guys. Good clarity given by both of you on this question number 40 from 2019 CSAT paper. Now let's move to the last question that we'll be discussing. Starting with you, Poonam. As we all know, you love maths a lot. So we are starting with you. And the question goes as
This
what
love
is,
has blossomed recently only.
let's see how much you have started loving maths. The question goes as what is X in the sequence, and there is a sequence given. How can we solve it in less time and with more accuracy, Poonam?
That's quite easy because as like I appreciate Uncle Jolly as well as I appreciate my Zishan sir. He has taught us that Aramaic rule. Like if we instead of moving from left to right, we'll move from right to left, and like it appears quite easy because it's the square root of the numbers 8, 10, 6, 12. So straightforward answer is B, 64.
All right. What you said, Puram, you are following the Aramaic rule. That is, you are moving from right to left as the Aramaic script is read. And that way,
Yes.
you are jumping alternative numbers x,
Let me
100,
let me make
one.
let me clear it more. See, you're a student now, so let me clear you once more. See, it is 64, then 10, then 6, then 12. So the number is 8, 10, 6, 12. The number is increasing and decreasing alternatively.
All right. So what you're
See,
saying
the
is that
number
if
is,
you, Mhm. I get your point,
yes,
Puram.
yes,
I get your point. So the thing is, starting from the right side, we can either go sequentially or we can either jump the numbers, as you said
yes,
earlier.
yes,
Like earlier, you jump directly from x to 100, that is square of 10, to 144, that is
yes.
square of 12, to square of 14. Okay. Beautifully explained the Aramaic rule going from right to left and the unconventional way. Arunav, what would you add?
Here again, to solve this question, I would use the Aramaic rule, which has come in very handy because of you. And when I look at the question itself, it's x 6400 when I look at it from the right side. So 6400, the moment I look at these numbers, the first thing that strikes is 8 square, 10 square. So without even looking at the other numbers, I can assume that x might be a square. So when I look at the options, we just have two squares here. One is B, one is D. So B is 8 square and 256 is 16 square. So just two numbers which are squares here. So we can safely eliminate A, that is 48, and C, that is 125. So once I eliminate these two numbers, I'm left with 64 and 256. So now if I look at this 8 square, 10 square, then again we have 6 square, right? So since it cannot be 16 square, I'll try putting 8 square there. That is 64 at the place of x. And just to confirm, just to be sure so that I know that I'm not wrong, I'll look at the other numbers after I've chosen 64. So then I find out that, okay, that's 2 square, 4 square, 6 square, then there's again 14 square, 12 square, 10 square. So it has to be 8 square. So I'll just confirm it once.
And again, you have done this mentally, and how much time must it have taken to do this particular sum question?
Hardly 10 to 15 seconds.
10 to 15 seconds, that's too quite low. Let's assume it to be 30 seconds. Even 30 seconds are quite reasonable.
So that's it's 10 to 15 seconds because I know that this has to be the answer because the moment I look at 64 and 100, but then if I have to confirm it right from the left side, it will take 30 seconds.
All right. Amazing arguments given by both of you, both Poonam and Arunav. Now, this question might have appeared as a nightmare to many students who fear maths, but now it appears much more easier. All right, guys. Now we are done with the questions, and I think it was a great session, a very swift session, and I think great clarity has emerged on both maths related questions and passage related questions. Before ending, I would just like to know your take, uh, be it on the paper or be it on our learning process, anything that you would like to add before ending this video, starting with you, Arunav.
What I'd like to say is um, when I solve a question, so most like if I have to talk about passages, it's mostly on the way I'm thinking on that day. So I don't have a set mindset. So, but then when I have Uncle Jolly's traits, it works like a framework. So when I have this framework with me, so even while I'm attempting the question on the D day, so I would have this framework in mind and I would not think something else. Sometimes we deviate from the way we think. So our thought process sometimes deviates, but the framework helps us, come back to the way we should be thinking for such questions. So I think this framework of Uncle Jolly's traits will be immensely helpful for me during those 2 hours.
All right. So, as you say, Arunav, framework that you have found useful as part of passages. And from your argument, I believe passages were the main point of concern for you. And
Yes,
that,
yes.
yeah, that has been eased a lot. All right. Now, coming to you, Poonam, what would you add before ending the video?
Like, I would like to keep it short. Like, I would say Uncle Jolly's traits, they are like magic for me.
All right.
Initially I used to read the whole passage, and then there's a lot of confusion among the statements. They used to appear very similar, and like a lot of confusion. But here now, after Uncle Jolly's traits, it's like solving. There's such like, it's like a piece of cake, eating a piece of cake. Like, it's magic. And as far as reasoning and mathematics, thanks to you, sir. Having you as a mentor was a blessing for me, because you made maths so easy for me. Now I don't fear of math sums anymore. I found them very easy. And now I think CSAT, it's not a very big deal cracking a CSAT.
And Poonam, are you sure I have not
So
paid
thanks
you
to
for?
you, and thanks to the
Are you sure I have not paid you for saying all these goodies?
Oh no, 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 sir. I truly, like, I believe that, sir. So, especially, I am not from maths background, but after attending your sessions, like maths, I'm getting friendly to maths now. I'm enjoying doing math sums, and that too with lot of precision, I would say. So thanks to you,
really,
and thanks to our Uncle Jolly.
that's really nice to know from both of you, Arunav and Poonam. Arunav highlighted about passages, and Poonam spoke specifically about maths, the things that concerned you the most earlier.
Definitely.
But I'd also like to add one more thing: the Aramic technique that I learned from you. So that is
Yeah,
going to save a
definitely.
lot of time, because we just solved one question today, but then it is applicable in a lot of questions in the paper. So that is going to save a lot of time for us, which we will be able to invest in some other, passages. I don't think passages because now we know how to solve it in a matter of a few seconds. But then maybe some other questions which would require some calculation. So we'll be able to spend more time there.
Certainly, certainly. Both of you, thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
indeed, sir. I would like to second what Arnav is saying, that your Aramic rules, that it saves a lot of time, because whenever I used to solve the questions reading left to right, many of the, like UPSC, it has a tendency of confusing the candidates. Maximum, like first, second, and third statement, they are very similar to each other. We don't get an idea of the answers. But when we start from right to left, like from first and second, we get the idea of the answer. Yeah, that is very helpful. Arnav is right.
Arnav is always right, and so are you. Okay, that's what I've seen in the 10 days interaction of us. So thanks a lot, guys. It was a great session. Thanks a lot for your time, Arnav and Poonam.
Thank you. Thank you for teaching what you did.
Thank you, sir.